Day 101 of reading through the scriptures. We're going to start in Leviticus chapter 11. We'll also have chapter 35 in Jeremiah and 101 in the Psalms, and then Acts chapter 12 coming up soon. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying to them, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the living creatures which you do eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatever has a split hoof completely divided, chewing the cud among the beasts, that you do eat. Only these you do not eat among those that chew the cud or those that have a split hoof. The camel, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the rabbit, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the pig, though it has a split hoof, completely divided, yet it does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you do not touch. They are unclean to you. These you do not eat of all that are in the waters. Anyone that has fins and scales, or these you do eat, is verse 9, that are in the waters. Anyone that has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas or in the rivers, that you do eat. But all that do not have fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, all that move in the waters, or any living being which is in the waters, they are an abomination to you. They are an abomination to you. Of their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you abominate. All that do not have fins or scales in the waters are an abomination to you. And these you do abominate among the birds. They are not eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle and the vulture and the black vulture and the hawk and the falcon after its kind, every raven after its kind, and the ostrich and the night hawk and the seagull and the hawk after its kind, and the little owl and the fisher owl and the great owl, and the white owl and the pelican and the carrion vulture and the stork and the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe and the bat. All flying insects that creep on all fours is an abomination to you. Only these you do eat of every flying insect that creeps on all fours, those which have jointed legs above their feet with which to leap on the earth, basically grasshoppers and locusts." That's a comment from me in amongst the reading. Sorry. These are them you do eat: the arba locust after its kind, and the solemn locust after its kind, and the chargol locust after its kind, and the chagab locust after its time. But all other flying insects which have 4 feet are an abomination to you. I want to talk about these just a little bit. We think of most creatures of these insect category as having 6 legs, but I believe they're 4 feet and 2 arm legs. So I think that's why they don't seem like, because 4-footed insects were not something that was in my vocabulary till recently, and I've just realized that this is what we're talking about. Love to hear comments about 4-footed insects. Anyway, back to reading verse 24. "And by these you are made unclean. Anyone touching the carcass of any of them is unclean until evening. And anyone picking up part of the carcass of any of them has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. Every beast that has a split hoof not completely divided or does not chew the cud is unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean. And whoever goes on its paws, moving among all the creatures that go on all fours, those are unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean until evening. He who picks up their carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. They are unclean to you. And these are unclean to you among the creeping creatures that creep on the earth: the mole and the mouse and the tortoise after its kind, and the gecko and the land crocodile and the sand reptile and the sand lizard and the chameleon. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Anyone who touches them when they are dead becomes unclean until evening. And whatever any of them in its dead state falls upon becomes unclean, whether it is any wooden object or garment or skin or sack, any object in which work is done. It is put in water, and it shall be unclean until evening, then it shall be clean. Any earthen vessel into which any of them falls, whatever is in it becomes unclean, and you break it. And any of the food which might be eaten, on which water comes, becomes unclean, and any drink which might be drunk from it becomes unclean. And on whatever any of these carcasses falls, becomes unclean, an oven or cooking range, it is broken down. They are unclean and are unclean to you. But a fountain or a well, a collection of water, is clean, and whatever touches their carcass is unclean. And when any of these carcasses falls on any planting seed which is to be sown, it is clean. But when any water is put on the seed, and any part of any such carcass falls on it, it is unclean to you. And when any of these beasts which are yours for food dies, he who touches its carcass becomes unclean until evening. He who eats of its carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. And he who picks up its carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. And every swarming creature, the ones that swarms on the earth, is an abomination. It is not eaten. Whatever crawls on its stomach, and whatever goes on all fours, and whatever has many feet among all swarming creatures, the ones swarming on the earth, these you do not eat, for they are an abomination. Do not make yourselves abominable with any swarming creature, the one swarming, and you do not make yourselves unclean with them, lest you be defiled by them. For I am Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall set yourselves apart, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. And do not defile yourselves with any swarming creature, the one creeping on the earth. For I am Yahweh who is bringing you up out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. This is the Torah of the beasts and the birds and every living being, the creeping creature in the waters, and of every being that swarms on the earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, and between the living creature that is eaten and the living creature that is not eaten. Jeremiah chapter 35. The word which came to Yirmiyahu from Yahweh in the days of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, sovereign of the Yehuda, Jews, saying, Go to the house of the Rechabites, and you shall speak to them, and bring them into the house of Yahweh, into one of the rooms, and give them wine to drink. And I took Yaazaniah, the son of Yirmiyahu, the son of Chabatzinyah, and his brothers and all his sons, and all the house of the Rechabites, and brought them into the house of Yahweh, into the room of the sons of Hanan, son of Yigdaliahu, a man of Elohim, which was by the chamber of the heads, above the room of Maaseiahu, son of Shalom, the keeper of the door. And I set before the sons of the house of the Rechabites bowls filled with wine, and cups, and said to them, Drink wine. But they said, We do not drink wine, because Yonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, commanded us, saying, You shall not drink wine, neither you nor your sons, forever. And do not build a house, neither sow seed, nor plant a vineyard, nor have any of these, but dwell in tents all your days, so that you live many days on the face of the land where you are sojourners. So we obeyed the voice of Yonadab, son of Rechab, our father, and all that he commanded us, to drink no wine all our days, we, our wives, our sons, and our daughters, nor to build ourselves houses to dwell in. And we have no vineyard, field, or seed. But we dwell in tents and have obeyed and done according to all that Yonadab, our father, commanded us. And it came to be, when Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up into the land, that we said, Come, let us go to Jerusalem for fear of the army of the Kasdim, and for fear of the army of the Arameans. So we dwell in Jerusalem, or at Jerusalem. And the word of Yahweh came to Yirmiyahu, saying, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, Go, and you shall say to the men of Yehuda and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, Have you not received instruction to obey my words, declares Yahweh? The words of Yonadab, son of Rechab, which he commanded his sons not to drink wine, are established, and they have not drunk unto this day, for they have obeyed their father's command. And as for me, I have spoken to you, rising early and speaking, but you have not obeyed me. And I sent to you all my servants, the prophets, rising up early and sending them, saying, Turn each one from his evil way, and make good on your deeds, and do not and do not go after other mighty ones to serve them, and you shall dwell in the land which I have given you and your fathers. But you have not inclined your ear, nor obeyed me. The sons of Yonadab, son of Rechab, have indeed carried out the command of their father, which he commanded them, but this people has not obeyed me. Therefore thus said Yahweh, Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, See, I am bringing on Yehuda and on all the inhabitants of Jerusalem all the evil I have pronounced against them, because I have spoken to them, but they did not listen, and I have called to them, but they did not answer. And Yirmiyahu said to the house of the Rechabites, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, because you have obeyed the command of Yonadab your father, and guarded all his commands, and done according to all that he commanded you. Therefore thus said Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, of Yonadab son of Rechab there shall never cease to be a man to stand before me. Psalm 101. I sing of loving commitment and right rulings. To you, O Yahweh, I sing praises. I act wisely in a perfect way. When do you come to me? I walk in the midst of my house with a perfect heart. I set no matter of Belial before my eyes. I hate the work of those who fall away. It does not cleave to me. A perverse heart turns away from me. I do not know evil. Him who secretly slanders his neighbor I cut off. I do not tolerate one who has a haughty look and a proud heart. My eyes are on the trustworthy of the land to dwell with me. He who walks in a perfect way, he serves me. He who practices deceit does not dwell in my house. He who speaks lies does not stand in my presence. Each morning I uproot all the wrong of the land, to cut off all the workers of wickedness from the city of Yahweh. Acts chapter 12. And about that time Herodes the sovereign put forth his hands to do evil to some from the assembly. And he killed Yaakov, the brother of Yochanan, with the sword. And seeing that it was pleasing to the Yehudim, he proceeded further to arrest Kepha as well. And they were the days of unleavened bread. So when he had seized him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 squads of soldiers to watch over him, intending to bring him before the people after Pesach. So Kepha was indeed kept in prison, but prayer was earnestly made to Elohim on his behalf by the assembly. And when Herodes was about to bring him out, that night Kepha was sleeping, bound with 2 chains between 2 soldiers, and the guards before the door were keeping the prison. And see, a messenger of Yahweh stood by, and a light shone in the building. And smiting the side of Kepha, he raised him up, saying, Get up quickly, and his chains fell off his hands. And the messenger said to him, Gird yourself and bind on your sandals. And he did so. And he said to him, Put on your garment and follow me. And coming out, he followed him, and knew not what was done by the messenger was true, but thought he was seeing a vision. And when he had passed the first and the second guard posts, they came to the iron gate that leads to the city, which opened to them by itself. And they went out and went down the street, and the messenger instantly withdrew from him. And when Kepha had come to himself, he said, Now I truly know that Yahweh has sent his messenger and delivered me from the hand of Herodes and from all the Yehudi people were anticipating. And having realized this, he went to the house of Miriam, the mother of Yochanan, who was also called Marcos, where many had gathered to pray. And when Kepha knocked at the door of the gate, a girl named Rhoda came to answer. And when she recognized Kepha's voice, she did not open the gate because of her joy, but ran in and reported that Kepha stood before the gate. And they said to her, You are mad. But she kept insisting that it was so, and they said, It is his messenger. And Kepha continued knocking, and having opened, they saw him and were amazed. And motioning to them with his hand to be silent, he told them how the master brought him out of the prison. And he said, Report this to Yaakov and to the brothers. And he left and went to another place. Now when day came, there was no small stir among the soldiers about what had become of Kepha. And when Herodes had searched for him and did not find him, he examined the guards and ordered them to be led away. And he went down from Yehuda to Caesarea and stayed there. Now Herodes had been highly displeased with the people of Tyre and Sidon, but with one mind they came to him, and having made Blastus the sovereign's eunuch their friend, they were asking for peace because their country was supplied with food by the sovereign's country. And on an appointed day, Herodes, having put on his royal clothes, sat on his throne and gave an address to them. And the people kept shouting, The voice of a mighty one and not of a man. And instantly a messenger of Yahweh smote him because he did not give the esteem to Elohim. And becoming worm-eaten, he died. And the word of Elohim went on growing and spreading. And Barnabas and Shaul returned from Jerusalem, having completed the service, and having taken with them Yochanan, who was also called Marcos.